One big driver of customer loyalty nowadays, especially for digital products and services, is subscriptions. Ed was one of the workstream leads behind Pret a Manger's wildly successful coffee subscription service that was released as an antidote to the COVID-19 lockdown hangovers that washed through London as people returned to in-person working. Not only was Pret's strategy extremely timely, but it revolutionized the industry. Let's find out more about how the idea came to life and what it means for modern CX.
I think that, the Pret coffee subscription was genius, if I'm perfectly honest. I would love to. I wish it was.
Wasn't you, no?
No, absolutely not. I couldn't claim any responsibility for it. But it was such a perfectly timed piece of strategy. The coffee subscription was launched over COVID. If you think about the environment we were in at that point, everybody was working from home. Yeah, and we spent the first 2-3 months, hospitality venues shut. So every single Pret was shut, and that was really their only channel of business as well.
Yeah.
And when things started to reopen, Pret had a real challenge ahead because 80% of their shops were in London. Yeah.
Oh, I think there's literally 4 within 50 yards of each other in one place. We were in London the other day.
I once heard a fact when I was working there that there are more Prets in one street in London than there are in the entirety of Wales. Yeah,
that's impressive.
So that gives you a sense, I think, of kind of the challenge they had because hospitality was starting to reopen a little bit, and 80% of the Prets are in London, and local towns, the footfall was starting to increase. London wasn't speeding up at that same rate, and most city workers were still free to work from home. And London footfall was still only at 40-50%, where other areas were at 60-70-80%. The kind of the coffee subscription was an opportunity to get people back into the shops naturally, but what it really did is kind of steal a march on the competition. So if you think about I guess the environment we were in at that point, your routines stopped. Yeah, if you think about COVID and all of a sudden we're all working from home, or public transport's not the same, or you're all 2 meters away from each other, or all that kind of stuff's going on, and your routine is totally out of sync. So where before you might have every morning got up at the same time, stopped at the same coffee shop on the way in, or stopped at the same coffee shop as you get off the tube, your routine's totally bust. You're sort of slowly going back into London, maybe you're doing 1 day a week to start with. All of a sudden Pret's doing a month of free coffees. Yeah. And everyone in your office is drinking. Everywhere you look, people have got Pret coffees. And the guy sat next to you is drinking his 3rd cup that day. Because it's that first month was free, and then subsequent months were £20. Yeah. So £20 for up to 5 coffees a day, 150 coffees a month. Yeah, it's a lot of coffees, yeah. So it was very flexible. But why it was a stroke of genius is people didn't have a routine. They were coming back and their routines have been totally shattered. And now all of a sudden you've got this coffee shop offering you basically as much coffee as you can drink. Yeah, probably more coffee than you really should drink.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, you might have been a Starbucks guy, you might have been a Costa guy, you might have been a little independent shop guy. But now all of a sudden you've got a month of free coffee. You're going, well, I'm prepared to be a Pret guy for a little bit and see what happens. And actually the coffee's pretty good, and that starts to be the new routine. And if you go, well, I've got a reason to be in Pret each day, I'm just going to keep going to Pret.
Genius, to be honest.
And it starts
like that, isn't it?
And it starts to build up that routine, and your routine stops being Nero and Costa and Starbucks and starts being Pret because it's free for the first month, and then it's £20,
and then there's the food as well
thereafter, and obviously the food's good too. But so for them, if you think about it strategy-wise, you've got all these people starting to come back and their routines bust, and now all of a sudden they've got this new routine, and you talk to me about loyalty, and now you've got this opportunity. So you've got that kind of share of brain space, if you like, that share of attention, and these customers are going, well, why would I not take the free coffee?
Why do you think brands are obsessed with subscriptions? I mean, you've obviously just proved that with Pret, but do you think it's because they're trying to create like brand loyalty, or what's your theory on that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think there's a few reasons for the real take up in subscriptions. So firstly, I think recurring revenue, right? If you're a business, having predictable cash flow is always a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no getting away from that. So subscriptions are massive. Subscriptions are great for businesses. Yeah. Okay. And they also help with your valuation as well. But then they absolutely drive loyalty. I mean, the Pret example is a perfect one. It's a reason for people to engage with you consistently. It's a reason for you to reach out and talk to people as well. If they're subscribing with you, there's, that's kind of the opening of a conversational door, isn't it? This person's agreed to spend money with us every month. They're obviously interested in us. So let's talk to them about stuff that matters to them. It's a great way of collecting data as well, and all that kind of good stuff. So that, really, in terms of value, customer value, subscriptions are super useful, because if you've got a customer who's subscribed to you, right, you've got a consistent flow of cash, and when they're making those purchases, and you can talk to them, they're probably fairly engaged as well. They're some of your most valuable customers.
Yeah, absolutely.